Shadows Over the Chessboard, a short story by Juan Carlos Hernandez. Part 1. The Game of Memory. Jace's eyes snapped open to darkness that felt thick, like breathing through wet wool. The first thing he noticed was the smell. Sulfur mixed with something sweet and rotting, like fruit left too long in the sun. His back pressed against stone that radiated heat through his shirt, and when he tried to move, his shoulder blades scraped against rough granite. The dimension hopper on his wrist was cracked, the screen flickering between static and a single, ominous word, R666. He remembered the jump, remembered Rebecca's hand steadying his, her palm warm against his own as he typed in the final coordinates. "Just one more jump, Jace," she'd whispered, her voice tight with a hope he didn't fully feel. "Then we'll find somewhere safe." Then the machine screamed, metal shrieking like a dying animal, and everything had gone black. Now he lay on what felt like a platform, edges dropping off into nothing. The darkness had weight, pressing against his chest. When he sat up, his head spun, and he saw that the stone beneath him was not solid. Through a web of cracks, something glowed red-orange, like the coals of a dying fire. "You're awake." The voice came from everywhere and nowhere, deep enough to make his teeth ache. Jace scrambled backward until his spine hit a wall he couldn't see. "I was wondering how long you'd sleep," the voice continued, laced with a cold amusement. "The last one took 3 days, but you humans are getting weaker. Stand up, scientist." "I don't bite." Jace's legs shook as he pushed himself upright. As if obeying the command, the darkness shifted. A table materialized in front of him, black wood polished to a mirror shine. On it sat a chessboard, the pieces of carved bone and black obsidian already arranged. White on his side, black facing the empty chair. "Sit." The command wasn't loud, but it settled in his bones like gravity. Jace found himself lowering into the chair before his brain caught up. Across the table, the darkness condensed. Not formed, not appeared, condensed, like ink dropped into water. It pulled together into the shape of a man in a suit, then filled in with details. The suit was black, but it moved like liquid, sometimes looking like wool, sometimes like scales. The face was almost handsome, almost human, except the eyes were wrong. Too dark, too deep, like looking into a well that had no bottom. "Call me Luke," the figure said, settling into the chair with the sound of silk sliding over stone. "And you're Jace, the dimension hopper, the scientist, the lover." Luke savored the word. The man who tore holes in reality to find somewhere the rules didn't apply. Jace's mouth went dry. "Rebecca. Where is she?" "Safe," Luke said, a dismissive wave of his hand. "For now, we're not discussing her. We're discussing you." He gestured at the board. "I know everything that happens in my house. And in my house, we play a game. Chess. Winner gets a prize. You win, you leave. Simple as that. And if I lose..." Jace's voice cracked. Luke smiled, and it wasn't cruel, just tired. "You stay, not as punishment. This isn't some Sunday school morality play. You stay because you lost fair and square. This is my dimension, scientist. My rules. And my rule is, no one leaves without earning it." Jace looked at the board. He'd played since childhood. He was good. His hands hovered over the pieces. "White moves first," Luke prompted. "Take your time. We've got eternity." Jace took a breath, forcing his mind into the familiar logic of the game. He moved his king's pawn to e4. The bone piece felt warm, almost feverish. The clack it made on the obsidian board echoed for just a moment too long, stretching into a low, metallic sigh. Luke answered knight to c6. Jace developed his own knight to f3. The game began. It was fast, aggressive. Jace played with a desperate, focused energy. Luke's moves were elegant, precise, but Jace met every threat. He saw an opening, a chance to sacrifice a knight to gain a powerful attack. A gamble, but one that could end the game quickly. He moved the knight, offering it. "A foolish, human gamble," Luke murmured, but he took the piece. The moment the obsidian knight captured Jace's bone one, it happened. It was not a sound. It was a hollowing. Jace's breath hitched. A memory, clear as day, flashed in his mind. A summer afternoon, a scraped knee, and his best friend Sam helping him up, laughing. Then the memory tore. Jace gasped, clutching his head. He could remember a concept of a friend, but the name was gone. The face. It was a smooth, perfect blank. He could remember learning to ride a bike, but he was alone. The warmth of that friendship, the specific jokes, the face. It had been scooped out of his mind, leaving a cold, throbbing void. "What?" he panted, staring at his shaking hands. "What did you do to me?" "I told you my rules," Luke said, leaning back. The lost knight rolled between his fingers. "Every piece you lose costs you. That was just a night. A fond memory of a childhood, perhaps? A name you once cherished?" Jace's blood ran cold. This wasn't a game, it was an extraction. His gaze snapped back to the board. He wasn't just looking at pieces anymore. He was looking at himself. He could feel a faint, familiar warmth radiating from his queen. A memory flashed. Yvonne, 5 years ago, laughing in his old apartment, her hair backlit by the setting sun. 5 years of his life, a complex history, all tied to that single piece. His eyes darted to his king. The piece was vibrating. It wasn't just warm, it was thrumming with a heat that matched his own pulse, a feeling of connection, of an anchor in a storm. He didn't just see a memory, he felt a presence. Rebecca, her hand in his. "We'll find somewhere safe." "You monster," Jace whispered, the realization hitting him with physical force. "The queen, that's Yvonne. The king is Rebecca." Luke's smile was slow and terrible. "Now you see the board, scientist. Now you understand the stakes. Every piece you lose is a part of yourself you will never get back. Lose your queen, and your past is a blank slate. Lose your king, and you forget why you're even here. You forget her." The amusement was gone from Jace's face. The fear was gone. In its place was a cold, surgical rage. This wasn't a demon. This was a parasite. And he was down a knight. "Your move," Luke prompted. Jace's hand was perfectly steady. The sacrifice had cost him Sam, but it had done its job. It had opened the lines. Luke's king was exposed. "Bishop takes f7, check." Luke's smile faltered. The move was sound. He was forced to take. King takes bishop. Jace didn't even feel the loss of the new piece, the new hole in his memory. He was beyond that. His queen flew out. Queen to h5, check. Luke scrambled to defend. King to g8. The game accelerated. Jace wasn't playing. He was dismantling. He sacrificed nothing else. He traded with a brutal, mathematical precision. His mind, a steel trap. He wasn't playing to win. He was playing to annihilate. 10 moves later, Luke was boxed in. Jace's rook slid across the board with a final, echoing clack. Checkmate. Silence. The room was heavy. Jace was breathing hard, the phantom limb of his lost memories throbbing in his mind. But he had won. "I win," Jace said, his voice flat. "The deal. I leave." Luke studied the final position. Then, slowly, he began to clap. A dry, soft sound that scraped Jace's nerves. "Bravo," Luke said, his voice light. "Truly, I haven't seen a game like that in, decades." "I won," Jace repeated, standing up, the chair scraping against the stone. "Indeed you did," Luke smiled, and it was the most terrifying smile yet. "You won the first game." Jace froze. "The first game." Luke waved his hand. "The pieces on the board, the ones that held his past with Yvonne and his present with Rebecca, dissolved into dust. It's a match, scientist. Best 2 out of 3. The board reset itself, the pieces reforming. But they were different, no longer intricate bone and obsidian. They were crude, simple wood. "And now that you're all warmed up," Luke said, his dark eyes gleaming, "we can play for the real stakes. Part 2. The Game of Souls." The board reset itself with a sound like grinding stone. The pieces that reformed were not the intricate, personal horrors of the first game. These were crude, simple wood, looking as if they'd been carved with a dull knife. Jace was still standing, his mind reeling from the 1-1 score announcement. The phantom pain where his memory of Sam used to be was a cold, throbbing ache. "Best 2 out of 3? Jace's voice was a low growl. "You change the rules as you go." "Oh no," Luke said, his smile vanishing, replaced by that awful, patient tiredness. "The match was always the rule. You just didn't ask." He gestured to the board. "You moved first last time. It's your turn to play black." Luke opened, pushing his pawn to e4. The move was standard, but Jace felt the air in the room thicken, pressing against his eardrums. He was furious. He'd been tricked, mutilated, and now he was being toyed with. Driven by a cold rage, he reached for his own pawn to counter. The moment his fingers brushed the wood, he heard it. It wasn't a memory. It was a voice.